Welcome, welcome everyone to the Love Yourself to Health webinar. I am Amber Smithson, certified health coach, and really excited for this topic. And so excited to really just help you to understand this concept of loving yourself to health, because I think so many times people try to hate themselves to health. And if I hate my body enough, maybe one of these days I will actually be healthy. I mean, put in the chat if you or someone you know has ever tried that method. It does not work, you guys. It seriously is counterintuitive to just be hating your body and expecting it to actually thrive and get better. So real quick, in the chat, I want you to put your name is in the chat, so you could skip your name, but you could say if you lost any weight with our program and the biggest blessing Optavia has brought into your life. So this is just a quick answer. It's a number and then the biggest blessing that our program has brought into your life. So 30 pounds, Courtney says, a desire to change. Love it. I'm Amber, and I lost 35 pounds, and I've kept it off for over 16 years. And the biggest blessing Optavia has brought into my life is mental health. Let's see, 50 pounds down, Nikki, 85, oh, it's going so fast. 49 pounds, can play with my daughter again. 60 pounds, people, I love that. 20 pounds, less pain. 10 pounds, mindset. Laura says 25 pounds, feeling better. 40 pounds after my baby, Chantel says. I love it. So there's so many different, blessings that so many of you on here have had from participating in our program. But we really want to give you guys more value. We want to talk a little bit on this webinar tonight. With our program, we talk about the healthy body, we talk about the healthy mind, we talk about the healthy finances, and all of these work together. Your health is holistic. You are a whole person. One of these things is out of whack, that's going to throw one of the other two out of whack. This is what I found with my life. This is what I found helping thousands of clients over the last 11 years. And it's just super helpful to just take a couple of seconds and rate yourself in these three areas. On a scale of 1 to 10, where are you at with your healthy body? And it's not just being at a healthy weight, it's how are you eating, sleeping, physical activity, relaxation. Where are you at with your healthy finances? Do you have money saved? Are you living paycheck to paycheck? Or do you have abundance in your life? And your healthy mind, this is where we're going to be focusing tonight, is do you have fulfillment? Do you have engagement at work? Do you have strong relationships or community involvement? Are you having fun? Do you have hobbies? These things are all important to our overall holistic health. And so just be thinking, where is my mindset right now? And we talk about a concept called above and below the line. And above the line is where you're open and you're curious and you're focused on growth. And below the line is where you're closed and defensive. You have to be right. You are worried about what other people are thinking about you. This isn't where you grow. This isn't where you thrive. So we just wanted to kind of start off with thinking about where your mindset is right now. Because if you're coming from a place of, well, this is how I am, and that's how it's always going to be, and it's never going to change, and I'm never going to change, you might as well just hop off the webinar right now. Or if you're saying, okay, I'm open, I'm ready to learn, maybe there's things that I don't know, or things you didn't even know you didn't know. If that's where you're at, if you're ready to have that growth mindset, be open and curious, then we're glad that you are here with us tonight. So I'm going to throw it over to one of my co-hosts, Kurtley Freckleton. Are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yep. Take it away, lady.
Okay. I love what you said, Amber. And going along, I'm going to talk to you about 3 different mindsets and really think about, I hope all of you have a paper and pencil or pen out right now. So you can jot down notes that come to you and really think deeply about how you actually are. It's easy to think about your life as, oh, I'm this way, when in reality you're not. And so what good is this going to do? So really think, how am I doing right now? What can relate? What can I learn? Even if you're hearing something that you think you already know, there's always something you can learn. And so 3 different mindsets. Think of 3 different houses. Right here we have this derelict house. It's called the broken house. You might feel resigned or hopeless. Or you do relate with that in any area of your life. You might have thoughts like, I'll never love myself, or I'll never be enough. This is very fixed mindset. I think I don't have kids yet, but I have a lot of friends who tell me they feel like this. I'm not a good mom. I'll never be a good mom. And the not enough syndrome. All right. And so if you're living in this house, don't think that you have to live here forever. And so let's go to the next house. All right, so the next house is the fine house. I asked my friend the other day, how are you doing? And she said, I'm doing fine. And, that's a common answer, but that's not a normal answer for me. When people ask me how I'm doing, I rarely say fine, because I'm doing amazing. I'm so happy. Life is incredible. And so when she said fine, I said, well, what's going on? What do you mean by that? And so the fine house is you're content. You're comfortable. I think a lot of people can relate to this life is great. I'm super grateful. I feel a lot of people who are really grateful for everything in their life, they're often in the fine house, which is not a bad thing. It's just something
I'm trying to watch the thing and I lost it.
And I love myself just the way I am. I'm perfect just the way I am. And I'm not saying you're not perfect, but what can we do to progress? I have all that I need. And especially financially, no, I'm taken care of. I'm comfortable. And so there's the fine house, and I would challenge you, what if you could live in another house? And let's look at the last house. This house is the dream house. So what if you're living a life where you felt alive and thriving? So when people ask you how you're doing, your face would light up. You say, I'm so good. I am so happy. This is the house. I love myself enough that I am willing to make changes in my life, to step up and ready to grow. I think a lot of people think if a person's never content with how good they are, that they don't love themselves, that they're not grateful. And I want to bring that to your attention, that that's not the case at all. I love myself enough that I want to be better. I love who I am now. I love it. And I'm so excited for where I'm going. And, the other mindset is you're open to possibility. This is the growth mindset. And I'm always striving to be in the dream house. And this is what the dream mindset house is. Wow, I am so grateful for what I have. And what could happen too, because I want to become that person. It's all about thinking about who you want to become. So here are the 2 houses, the broken, the fine, and the dream. So which one do you want? Are you ready to go after your dreams? Are you ready? Sometimes there's a lot of fear around that is, well, I am comfortable. What if I make changes? What if it all crumbles down? Well, what if not? What if the opposite were true? Think about how your life could be that way, and be brave enough to write down what you would like to see in your life.
All right, you guys. My name is Sarah Flake, and I'm just going to share my story real fast as well. I lived in Las Vegas. I've been using the Optavia program to manage my health for 8 years now, I guess since 2012. And I had just been a chronic yo-yo dieter, honestly. I mean, it was like most people I saw around me. I didn't realize anything was wrong because I was like, well, this is just how everyone is, right? So back in 2011, you can see, I was not quite fine. I wasn't quite the fine house. Actually, I think I definitely was the broken house. I'm going to say broken house on this one. I remember just laying on the couch, and my 3-year-old daughter would come over and she's like, hey, Mom, play with me. And I'd be like, oh, I didn't have the energy. I literally felt like an 80-year-old woman at 33, and it was just dumb. And I could go on every program. I knew how to lose weight. I could lose weight like a champ if we had like a vacation coming up. You know, there's a million ways that we can lose weight, right? But what I didn't know was any mindset skills. And after 12 years of yo-yo dieting and just doing this whole like back and forth, it had developed into a binge eating habit. It had developed into really bad insomnia where I literally couldn't sleep for 1-2 nights in a row sometimes. It had developed into me being on anxiety and depression meds. And I honestly just thought this was just some other thing. I was just thinking, okay, this is just more food that's going to get me healthy, right? But when I discovered the Optavia program, it was so much more. And I was able to actually get into a community of people who all had my same goals. I had a coach working with me. And in that very first week, they were teaching me to challenge my thoughts and challenge my emotional responses. And as someone who has lived with anxiety and depression, getting to this point where you can realize you are not your thoughts was huge for me. And just learning how to put a little space between the emotion I was having and how I reacted to it. And I'm really proud to say April 2012 was my very last binge. I haven't had a binge eating episode since then. I have plugged hardcore into this community. I was able to lose 40 pounds in a little under 3 months with this. And that same year that I lost my weight, I saw people around me who were struggling with the same things I was struggling with. And so I decided to pay it forward as a coach. And that was 8 years ago now. And, this is something that will always be something I'm working on. Something my coach told me that I love and I share on every webinar I'm ever on is, look, being healthy is hard. Being unhealthy is hard. So choose your hard. And when I first got to my goal weight with this, I was full of fear. I'm like, it's going to be like everything else. I'm going to put it back. But I was plugged in with the mindset. And I remember I woke up one day, I'd been in maintenance for a few months. I was literally at a size 2, which I hadn't been at since literally elementary school. And I woke up one day and I had that same thought through my head. I'm like, oh, it's just gonna come back. And I'm like, no, Sarah, you get to choose now. It'll come back if you let it come back, but you have the skills and tools now where you can choose. You have that power. And ever since then, I really haven't worried about it because every day I wake up now and I choose this, and it's hard, but it's what I choose. So just wanted to share my story with you guys, and I'll be talking a little bit more later about mindset.
Awesome job, Sarah. Okay, awesome. I want to continue on, and let's talk a little bit about the mind's job. And Curtly or Sarah, if I'm going out of order, you just like come off mute and tell me. we're just on the fly tonight. So the mind's job is to categorize things and to judge situations and to keep you safe. So I want you to think of if you were walking down the street and there is some shady looking figures down a dark alley and they're carrying guns, then probably your mind is going to signal to you that you should not go down that alley. It's going to tell you to judge that situation as dangerous or scary or don't do it. Because I think a lot of times we judge ourselves for being judgmental, but that is literally our mind's job, is to judge things and put them in categories and decide how the world should be. So think about what are the rules of your planet, okay? And think about, what are some of the rules that I have? And for me, and you guys can put some of the rules of your planet in the chat after we go over this. But for me, one of the rules of my planet is that people should be on time. And it gets me every time. I'll get somewhere and someone's not on time and I'll start thinking, oh, people should be on time. But when I realized after a while that that was just a rule of my planet, that I thought people should be on time. And there are other people that think that within a time period, if you are a half an hour late or you're 10 minutes late or an hour late or whatever, then that's on time because that's within an acceptable period of time. What's another rule of my planet? How about people should shower like on a consistent basis? I used to attend this gym, and if somebody came up and they started on the treadmill or the elliptical or whatever right next to me, and they hadn't showered in, I don't know, I don't live with them, but I could, you know what I'm talking about. On Amber's planet, you should shower. Like even though you're going to the gym, if you really smell bad, you should do something about that. I also have a very sensitive nose. Okay. Yes, Karen says in the chat that showering is a rule on her planet too. So a lot of times we just think that these things are fact, right? That it is a fact that people should shower. But honestly, that just varies. Okay, Tammy says in the chat, people should pick up after themselves. Or Sarah, on Planet Sarah, you don't drive 60 miles per hour in the right lane of the freeway, okay? And many times we agree with the rules of other people's planets, and we have a coalition. We have a coalition of people who agree. And when everybody seems to agree, it's called a movement. But there's so many different rules that we have on our planet, and we tend to sometimes think that they are facts. So, okay, I can't remember, Curtly or Sarah, who was helping me out? Okay, Sarah.
Okay, so this is something that I learned from Amber last year, and it blew my mind. It like put me in this existential spiral for like 2 weeks. The difference between our facts and our feelings, okay? So our brains are really, really good at taking little data points and coming up with these stories and having like all these huge things happen from these little facts that we see around us. Now, okay, a fact. A fact is literally what is provable in a court of law, what a video camera records. And these feelings are the things that come from the stories we create out of these facts. So, fact, I have a cough. Feeling, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have the coronavirus. This whole planet is doomed. We're all gonna die. We're a pox on the planet anyway. I should just die. Okay, so, that's the fact. I have a cough, and my feeling is like tragic. I shouldn't even go to the doctor. Okay, so let's skip to the next slide, Amber. Okay, so what happens a lot of the time, especially with our health journeys, is we take a fact, we create a story around it, and it leads to feelings. Now, something that here's an exercise we can do. We take a fact, and a fact is something you can say like, hey, I notice that you keep telling me I should lose weight. And then when we go to the story, we're gonna say, okay, this is the fact. Now I'm gonna imagine a story. So I notice that you keep telling me I should lose weight. That's the fact. The story I'm gonna tell myself is, you are worried about me. And the feeling that leads to is, oh, I feel cared for. Or maybe the fact is, hey, you keep telling me I should lose weight. The story is, you don't like how I am. I'm never gonna be enough for you. And that makes me feel defeated and sad. Or another story we could tell is, hey, I notice you keep telling me I should lose weight. I imagine you're trying to help me improve, and that makes me feel motivated. So we have all these different facts, and then how we create these stories leads to the feelings. But I would love for you guys to just put in the chat something that, maybe there's an emotion or a feeling going on with you right now, something that you're feeling upset about. I'd love to see what some of these emotions are, and let's get down to the facts of this. The stories we tell ourselves are usually not related to the actual fact. Here's another fact. Like I sent someone a message the other day and they didn't respond. And it was like 3 weeks before, over the course of this 3 weeks, I didn't get any message back. I didn't get any message back. And I was coming up with all these stories in my head and all these things and running through every conversation we'd had. And finally, I sent this person a message and I said, hey, you haven't gotten back to me. And what I'm thinking in my head is, I remember this conversation and I said this thing, and I'm thinking you might have taken it this way. And now I'm thinking you might feel like this. And I just laid it all out. And the person replied immediately. They're like, oh, no, not at all. Sorry, I haven't gotten back. I'm excited to see you again. None of that is actually true. So it's really nice when we can isolate the facts in the stories we're feeling. Let's see, Amber, oh, that was me. So when we are able to isolate facts, then we can start managing the feelings better. And a lot of times, the story we tell ourselves, if we imagine an opposite story, we can look at that same fact and see that that same story is true. So let's go to the next slide, Amber. Okay, so the stories we tell ourselves. What are the stories we tell ourselves? Before I joined up with Optavia, the story I told myself was, this is just how I am. The story I told myself is, I'm never gonna have the emotional control to have success with this. The story I told myself was, this is just how everybody is. Tisha just left a comment. Oh, Tisha says, my employees make bad decisions and that stress drives me crazy. So think about the stories that you're telling yourself that are leading to these big overwhelming emotions. We've got, I'm an emotional eater. I'm busy. I don't have the willpower to do these things. So what if the opposite was true? So I'm going to run through a little scenario that I have. I keep, over the past few weeks, I keep like having a nacho breakdown, like past 10 o'clock, I keep just like eating these nachos. And the fact is, I'm eating nachos late at night. And the story I'm telling myself is, I don't have willpower. I'm going to be stuck in this. I'm having a hard time right now, and I'm not in control. The fact is, I'm eating nachos late at night. What if the story was, hey, I don't eat them before 10 p.m. I'm only eating them because they're in my house. So I can start changing the story, and I'm only eating them because I'm buying them. So I can just simply stop buying them. I can get to bed a little bit later, or a little bit earlier. Also, another opposite of the story is I don't eat them before late at night. So I actually do have a lot of willpower during the day. And so I can see evidence for the opposite of this as well. And it's not even a big deal. It's literally like 5 or 6 corn chips. It's not a big deal. But I've made it into this big thing in my head where I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't be like this. I have to keep control. So look at the facts and decide what you want the story to be. How do you want to feel? And make sure that these stories you're telling yourselves, first of all, recognize that they're stories, and recognize that the emotions are caused not from the fact, but from the story. And then that takes you out of the emotional turmoil of it a little bit. All right.
Hey, Kirtley, why don't you come on and share with us a little bit about your story? I'd love to hear it.
Okay, sounds good. This all ties in perfectly to how my story started. Is I was at a point, I was an athlete growing up, and I was at a point where I had gained weight, and it was the unconscious weight, just eating more. And whenever there was sugar in front of me, I would just eat it. If I had an emotion, I would just eat through the emotion. And I found myself with a tummy pooch, and that was weird for me because I wasn't used to it. And I was so bugged by it because it just wasn't normal. And so I had exercised so much and tried to eat better. I would swear myself off sugar and just go back and forth and back and forth. And nothing was working. I was just like, I'm getting older. So I guess this is part of getting older, is you get a tummy pooch. And then I started, one of my professors at school said something that really made me think deeper about what was going on in my life. And I started slowing down and really thinking about how I felt before I would eat. And just by doing that, I became a little bit more conscious. When I was bored, I didn't have to go eat. When I was upset or even jealous that everyone else was eating things, I didn't have to eat. I would notice what the emotion was. I would identify it and then ask myself, is that a reason why I should be eating? And with that space between that first urge and my action, right here is what made all the difference from me, is just thinking. So I want to go over what we do with the emotions, because our emotional management creates how our relationships are. It creates our financial well-being. It creates how you interact with your kids and your reactions. This is so important. So I'm going to read through these emotions. And this is where it's really important to grab your paper and pen. When I say something, think of a situation in your life where you felt that, and what did you do afterwards that is not leading you to what you want. So sadness, when you felt sad, just be thinking, okay, health-wise, did I go eat ice cream, or did I scream at my husband, or did I snap at my kids? So when I say an emotion, write down your reaction that you've had that you would like to improve, so we can start living more in that dream house and that growth mindset. So sadness, lonely, regret, heartbroken, fear, vulnerable, nervous, panicked, anger, bored, frustrated, resentful. Resentful was a big one for me, an emotion I really had to work through and learn how to manage. And it just feels so uncomfortable. You want to eat or whatever, do something unhealthy, buffer it. Joy. It's funny that joy often leads to eating. Relaxed, excited, proud, and then creative, stimulated, passionate, and glowing. Even those really happy, positive emotions can lead to us taking actions that don't get us where we want to in life. So next slide is ways we buffer. Buffer just means basically an escape. Is we have these emotions, there's something powerful about them, and we do something because of that tension inside to try to make it go away or to feel better. And now that you have a list of some ideas that came to your mind of how you're dealing with your emotions, now in another list, you can start looking at what you're actually doing, because the awareness of what you're doing, remember what we talked about earlier, is you got to know what you're actually doing, what the reality is, not the type of person you have an imagination in your mind. And so now think about, how are you escaping from this feeling, or how are we buffering? So are you eating to buffer? Are you sleeping? I have a friend that when she gets so overwhelmed, she just wants to sleep. Are you drugging or drinking, even if it's the local soda store? When you're really happy, you're celebrating. When you're overwhelmed, are you comparing? Are you going to blame someone when you have this emotion? It's so easy to quickly blame whoever you're talking to. Are you comparing? Is an emotion causing you to compare? Controlling? Are you exercising? How funny that exercising can be something that you're trying to escape reality from. Cleaning, gossiping, shopping. Shopping is a pretty big one. I'm stressed out. I just need a break. I just need to get on Amazon. How many people are getting Amazon packages almost every day? All right, maybe ask yourself, is there an emotion that begins in order to trigger me to start doing that? Porn, watching TV, worrying even, withdrawing, or just swiping. Think about, okay, when you start watching yourself more consciously, I start asking myself when I pick up my phone, why am I doing this? Is it because I'm trying to escape it? Oh, it was because I'm bored. Okay, so bored was a trigger. And then I started swiping on my phone. Do I want that? So let's go to the 5 steps to process emotion now. This is really cool. This is something you can start implementing tonight, right after, especially if you identify. The key is, hopefully you're getting some ideas of these triggers you have in your life that are leading to certain behaviors. And then if I were you, I would just pick one thing at first. Is what is one trigger? What is one reaction that you have that you would like to change, so you can step up and start living more in that dream house relationship, start living more in that dream house, those finances, and improve your mothering or your fathering. So here's what we're going to do, and then make sure you do pick one thing. Is, first of all, you want to name it. When you have an emotion, you want to be able to name it, locate it, describe it, shift it, then listen to it. And then we're going to walk through this. So the first one is, this is actually a perfect example. I was going on a walk with a friend the other day, and I had my dog with me, and my dog did something naughty. And my friend said something that I took as, I'm a bad dog trainer. And this is very personal to me because I take pride in my dog training. I'm a good dog trainer. And so without realizing, I became defensive. That was my trigger, is immediately defensive. Remember, that was one of those buffering things. And I started talking and all this stuff. And it wasn't until after the conversation, when I was more calm, that I was like, oh, if I had slowed down, I could have identified the emotion that I was feeling, anger. And that would have helped me guide me through my reaction. So first of all, name the emotion. Are you sad? Are you fearful? Are you angry? Are you joyful? Are you creative? Those are some pretty basic emotions. You can even have it on your phone when you're feeling this tension, and ask yourself, so name it. The next one is locate it. This is really fun. You will be so surprised what you start to learn. Is, okay, I'm feeling this, and this trigger is just being able to be aware enough to identify when you're feeling a tension somewhere, so you can just pause long enough to be, okay, I'm feeling anger. Where am I feeling it? Oh, I feel it in my neck or my shoulders, my jaw, my head. Everyone's going to be different. And maybe this will help you give ideas for you. So look at an emotion you had today, right here. And so even joyful, where did you feel the joy in your body? Sad did you feel your throat clenching? Did you feel high chest? I feel most of my emotions in my high chest. It's fascinating. It's just observation. It's learning to getting to know yourself, because everyone's different. Fear, where are you feeling that? All right. And so first of all, you want to name it, and then you want to locate it. And this is just awareness of you, which is so critical. All right. And these sexual feelings, some of you are like, what the heck is that going on there? That's creative feelings. Sometimes you get so excited about the potential in life, and that's what they're talking about there too. Okay. So the next one is describe it. So here, this is all about creating, they got your trigger and you've got your reaction, and this middle spot right here is you're just taking a little bit longer before you instantly react. All right, so describe it as now, okay, I think I feel anger. It's in my neck. I feel this pulling, pinching, tightening, numbing sensation. All right, just get to know that a little bit. Describing it is really neat to help you understand yourself. And now the next one is shift it. So now that you're really present with your emotion, just be there with it. I can't tell you how many people don't do this step, and they do everything else than to be with their emotion. There is so much power in learning how to be with your body. Your body tells you so much, and it's coming through these emotions. And so just be there and say, I hear you. I feel you. So you just breathe in your nose and let the breath go. You can even take a seat on the couch and just be there. 5 minutes even. 2 seconds. And then sometimes as you're with your emotion, you might want to do some movement. It's kind of intuitive, just getting intuitive with yourself and being in tune with yourself. Even nonverbal sounds, you're gonna think I'm crazy, but I heard about this Japanese war art of cliff yelling. I thought it was the coolest thing. And so after college or during college, and I had a really hard day, I would walk up to the cliffs right behind school. I would go up to a cliff, and it wasn't too dangerous. Don't worry. It was like this small. And I would yell, like ugly yell, like you don't want anyone to hear you. And it felt so good. It was just this emotional release, and you can even do that in your car. So it's just, okay, I feel this. And then what are you going to do with it? All right. And that leads to the next one is listen. Listen and trust your body and what it's trying to tell you. All right. So sadness, just feel it. Like if you're like, this is kind of sounds crazy, just experiment and be curious. I wonder what that would be like if I was with my emotion a little bit longer. Sadness, what wants to be let go of or mourned? Sometimes you eat and eat and eat because you're mourning the loss of a friend or the loss of an opportunity, or even the thought of losing a type of food in your life that is really harming you. Another one, anger. What wants to be stopped, changed, or ended? You're going to learn things about what's going on in your life. Fear, what wants to be known? And this is powerful to journal about. I had a client and I said, girlfriend, every time you're feeling this compulsion, this urge that you don't want to do because it's going to lead to gaining weight or whatever your goal is, grab a piece of paper and just start writing. And so she grabbed a receipt once because she was watching TV and she just wanted ice cream. And so she's like, I wonder why I want ice cream. She grabbed a pen, and the minute she started writing, she found out, oh, I'm bored. The boredom is my trigger. Ice cream is my buffer. And so she turned to her husband and she said, hey, could we change the channel? This is kind of boring. Right when she changed it, the urge went away because she was being more in tune and her body was saying, okay, this is boring. Let's change the channel. All right, joy, what wants to be celebrated? Creative, what wants to be created, or what is attractive? This is so fun to work on, you guys, and just get curious. You're going to have a different story than me, but man, this is what helped me get out of emotional eating. This is what has helped me stay healthy for the last 7 years. I got healthy, super healthy 7 years ago, and I haven't once been worried about gaining weight or what am I going to eat or can I control myself. It's because I've begun to listen to my body, and I've been learning things from it because it's talking to me. It's, you know, it sounds kind of crazy. But the last slide says true self-care is not salt baths and chocolate cake. It is making the choice to build a life you don't need to regularly escape from. Powerful, huh? That's what the commercials are going to tell you about is go get, you know, especially for Valentine's. Well, what if you learn to face those emotions? Yeah.
Awesome. I love that quote. And that something that we like to do as a community with Optavia is we give our community the habits of health. And we learn that self-care is basically creating the best life possible. And what I love about our community is it's not about not being sick. We put huge, huge, huge buffers between sick and healthy. So it's a very proactive thing. When I started my weight loss, I remember in my head, when I started, I'm like, okay, when I hit my goal weight, I'm going to celebrate by going out to my favorite Chinese food and, you know, eat at the buffet. And then I hit my goal weight and my mentality was so shifted. The thought of going and gorging myself and stuffing my body made me like, it was just like, why would I do that to myself? I had learned so much. And so my reward to myself when I hit my goal weight was I went out and I trained for it and I ran a triathlon. And what we encourage our community members to do is once you're at your goal weight, continue assessing it. Talk to your coach, set another goal, and then another, and then another. I am not a size 2 anymore, you guys. You know why? Because my goal, now that I'm at a healthy weight and how to manage that, is to get ripped. So I am building muscle, you know, my legs are popping, you know, I'm like checking out my muscles every day. And you know, and I did an assessment. I did an assessment every year. And this year on the health assessment, I realized, hey, I'm doing pretty well in health and nutrition and all these things, but I'm not really doing well in community give back. So I've been focusing this year on creating more health as far as being involved with my community. So let's go to the next slide. I'm going to introduce a little bit about what we do here. As a member of the Optavia community, we really want to help you learn to have this bigger mindset. We want to inspire you from everyone else in the community. We have tons of things like this. We've got personal development webinars. There's a team of nutritionists literally on tap for our community that you can call up. You can ask questions to. We have private Facebook groups. We have live events. We have, you know, national convention once a year in Atlanta. But we really want to show you what is possible. And the only way to do that is to show you examples of healthy living and show you examples of people actually doing this alongside of you. Studies have shown you are most likely to have the habits of the 5 people closest to you. Who are those 5 people? Think about in your head who the 5 people are that you are closest with mentally, on social media, physically. If they don't have healthy habits, it's going to be really hard for you to. So who can we put into your community that's going to inspire you? Next slide. All right, now this is my favorite thing. Our nutritional program is so simple. We can basically, anyone who is interested in getting healthy, you don't have to have any nutritional background. We start everyone at a very simple spot. What we're gonna teach you is how to eat by the clock, how to never let your body get hungry, and how to use food correctly. Now, if you're starting like I wasn't active and I didn't have any knowledge or anything about this, the first thing we're gonna teach you is how to make the lean and green meal. So the baseline of all of our meals is protein and healthy carbs. So we teach you how to make 1 healthy protein. It could be like a chicken salad and 3 vegetables. So we're going to teach you how to make this meal. But when you're first starting out, let's say you have 20 pounds to lose. For this first phase, that's all you have to do during the first about 2 months, about 10 pounds a month. And then as soon as you're at your healthy weight, we start giving you more and more and more that you're doing on your own. So you're doing 1 lean and green meal a day, and then we're providing you nutritionally balanced fuelings that are going to keep you completely full, completely satisfied, and help your body get into weight loss. Then as soon as you're at a place you're happy with, phase 2 is we start teaching you how to add in all the other food groups. You continue all the habits you have from the first day, and now you're getting more and more food freedom, and then maintenance is amazing. That's what I do. That's what a lot of us on this call are doing. And you eat a ton of food. You eat all the time, but we've taught you how to look at any food in the grocery store or a restaurant and how to know how to pair those ingredients together so that you never overeat, so your body never enters fat storage. All right, next. Excellent. Okay, the coach is amazing. 85% of people who try to make these types of changes on their own but don't have behavioral support or accountability either fail to reach their goal weight or never reach it at all. You know, studies show that having accountability and support, and especially that educational behavioral background, is really the key for anyone trying to make a change. The reason that I was unhealthy for all those years isn't because I didn't know that ice cream was less healthy than salad. It's because I didn't know how to deal with my crazy brain saying, eat the food. And I'd be like, oh, okay. So having your coach is an amazing resource. It's completely free to everyone in our community. It could be someone who's just barely started their health journey as well. It could be someone who has been passionate about health and fitness their whole lives. Your coaches are not there to judge you or grade you. Your coach is someone who is also committed to living the Habits of Health system, who understands it is more about progress than perfection, and who is willing to reach out, and they're going to check in with you at least once a week and just check in. How are you doing? What are we celebrating? What are you struggling with? Can I give you some resources to help with that? And recommending, let's say you're having trouble with sleep, they're going to give you some resources to learn like what you're dealing with sleep. That was the first thing I worked on, by the way. So learning how to get healthy sleep was helpful. But the coach is a really amazing resource. And like I said, completely free, and you have your coach for life. All right. So what path do you want to be on? You know, and honestly, sometimes I talk to people and they're happy where they are. They know that they are going to die 20 years earlier in life, and it's okay because they like their smokes and they like their Twinkies, and they're telling themselves it's okay. This is how I want to be, and life's too short to not eat the food. I think for most of us, if we're honest with ourselves, and if we knew we actually had the tools and support, that isn't how we would want to be. So most people in America right now are on a path of obesity. 2 out of 3 Americans right now are overweight or obese. Obesity is skyrocketing in this country. It truly is an epidemic. The CDC just came out with a new study. And truly about 90% of Americans, I think by 2025, are going to be overweight or obese. The chance of disease skyrockets when you're not taking care of your body. So you could stay on that path. You absolutely could. You could stay in the broken house, or maybe it's even the fine house. But what I realized when I got this program was I had options. And I started out as a client, and you know, I was doing okay as a client, and I got to my goal weight, but I really wanted to make sure that I was committed. And so the second my sister reached out to me and said, Sarah, can you help me with this? I said yes, because I knew it was going to keep me focused and accountable. And as coaches, the studies have shown that as coaches, we are 5 times more likely to stick with our healthy habits and our healthy weight than people who just come in as a client and don't commit to actually paying it forward. I'm sure a lot of you know about Alcoholics Anonymous. Like, they have sponsors. Why do people become sponsors? It's to keep themselves more accountable. So I am okay telling my clients when I have a bad day. It's not about me being perfect for them. It's just about me saying, hey, we're in this together. Let's partner up. So decide what path works for you. And Amber, I think that's you.
Awesome, Sarah. I love that information. You know, it's so true that as we're starting to create new habits, as we're starting to change our lifestyle, sometimes it's difficult. Actually, I would say all the times. All the times it's difficult to make new habits, you guys. And when we learn these skills of emotional management, it's amazing how much easier everything just kind of falls into place. And when you have that support of a coach and you have a community of people who are doing this with you, and you're paying it forward and helping someone else, like, it's a game changer. And I love what Curtly shared too about how to like step through your emotions and to like process them. Because how many times do we just try to cover them up with the buffering and what Curtly was saying? And I have this example of when I was a little kid, I used to babysit my brothers like all the time. I had 1 older brother and 2 younger brothers, and I would babysit the little boys, right? And the little boys, they were not supposed to eat in the TV room, but they did sometimes. And, you know, the little boys would spill their food, like they loved ramen. It's like the worst food for you in the whole world, right? But they loved it. And they would spill their ramen, all of their ramen broth and their noodles and everything on the carpet. And the little boys would go and they would get like one of the ratty old towels or cloths from the kitchen, and they would just put it on top. They would put it right on top of that ramen, and they were out. That was like how they cleaned up, right? And so later on, one of us who are a little older would find this. And we probably would yell at them or something or tell them that they should have cleaned it up. But when you think about it, the ramen is like our emotions, okay? And the buffering is like the towel. And we go, I don't want to feel bored, so I better eat. Or I don't want to feel sad, so I better get on Facebook. Or I don't want to feel anxious, so I better Netflix for the next 5 hours. That is just putting the dish rag on the ramen, okay? And sometimes we go, well, okay, so right now I emotionally eat when I'm bored or lonely or stressed or whatever, have anxiety, I emotionally eat. So instead, I'm going to find a new buffering method. And now I'm going to clean my house and organize closets and sweep outside. And, we find all these things that are better. But guess what? The ramen's not cleaned up just because you got a fancier towel and it's like has gold stitching on it and you put the fancy towel over the ramen. And so this is why it's so important. This is why I love what Kirtley went over is let's clean up the ramen, you guys. Like literally, let's stop eating ramen because that stuff will kill you. But hopefully that makes sense is we want to help you to process the emotions so that you don't need to find a prettier towel and you can exercise and clean and watch Netflix sometimes and eat ice cream sometimes in a healthy way. How would that be? That when you got on Facebook, you were actually looking for someone to connect with and someone that you can help them feel better that day and someone you could share your story with instead of just buffering away boredom. And that's, I don't know, maybe that story helped you guys a little bit. But just to wrap up, what does this plant need? I want you to put in the chat, okay? What does this plant need? What are some of the things it could use right now, this house plant? Okay, some love, some water, yes. Nourishment, sunshine, yeah. Okay, you guys are getting it. Sunlight, water, food, care, pruning, maybe, some TLC. And sometimes when we're talking about our bodies, I want you to think of it like this plant. And would you, if you saw this plant, would you go, oh, such a stupid plant, and you go put it in the corner and you starve it and you isolate it and you go, you're a bad plant. No, what do? We nourish it and we care for it and we love it, and then it can turn into this plant. So why would we think our bodies are any different? Why would we say if we look at something we're struggling with our body and we go, oh, I hate my body, it's so ugly and bad and I just need to starve it and I just need to stay in and never go out until I look better. And no, you guys, I want you to think of your body like this plant and to nourish it. And yes, pruning. Sometimes you got to pluck some of those things out. Sometimes you go, what are the things in my life that are not contributing to my long-term health? And you pluck those things out. Sometimes you need to go in a weight loss phase so that your body can become healthier. But when it comes down to it, loving yourself and loving yourself enough to do those things, to exercise, to eat right, to nourish your body, not starving it or deprivation or these things that are just so negative. Those things are not going to result in long-term health. You could maybe white knuckle it for a little bit, white knuckle yourself to health for a little bit, but it's like holding a beach ball under the water. Eventually that beach ball is going to pop up. And so we're just so grateful to you guys that you have joined us tonight to really just give a little more attention to become that creator in your life, to give some more intentionality to what you're feeding up here, what you're putting in your body, literally what you're eating, And, you know, it maybe tonight you caught a vision of something. Maybe you caught a vision of wanting to become a client with the coach that invited you. Maybe you caught a vision of wanting to learn what it looks like to pay it forward. Maybe you just caught a vision that you want to drink more water. Whatever level that you are feeling inspired and you're feeling like I want to move forward in that, that's what we want. That's what we want to create with Optavia is we want to create a movement of people who are supporting each other, of people who are banding together and saying, you know what, we're going to change those numbers that Sarah shared. We want to change the obesity trajectory of our country and of the world. And that's what this is all about. So thank you so much, you guys. We hope that you will share this recording with family and friends who you think could really benefit from some of these principles. And happy Valentine's Day soon. And we hope that you will love yourself to health. So thank you so much, guys.